Well, hi everyone. I hope everyone is doing okay this evening. Whatever it is you're doing, wherever you are, I come in peace. Now, one of the things I wanted to bring up in this video, really, firstly, just point out who I am. My name is Ben. I am an ex-smoker of about 18 years, and I've quit now for 974 days, 975 days tomorrow. And the reason I wanted to come on here and I wanted to share my experiences, and I hope that it will help some people. Perhaps I'm hoping this will help some people follow those steps, take that leap, and eventually quit smoking. So I'm hoping. I suspect there'll be some people on here who watch this video who are ex-smokers themselves, and some who are smokers who want to give up but sort of aren't quite at that level yet, and some who are in the middle of trying to give up or trying to quit. And I want to talk about some of the things that one of the things that has become very clear to me as an ex-smoker is it's very difficult for people to understand the thoughts of an ex-smoker or how a smoker's mind thinks when they've never smoked. There are things that people who have never smoked will never understand, like us smokers and ex-smokers understand about the situation with smoking, about the addiction levels and so on. When I quit, one of the hardest things that I went through wasn't the nicotine. The nicotine withdrawal is relatively straightforward. Now, just to clarify, I never used any substitutes, any substances to help on someone. I just went simply cold turkey. Now, I got back from America, and as you do, you go abroad, you bring back a load of cheap fags. Here in the UK, smoking is very expensive, and I brought back a load of cheap fags. And then I found out my wife was going to be pregnant, and that was a game changer. And so I said to myself, this was in early December, and I said, I'm going to smoke the rest of these cigarettes I brought back, and that is it. I'm not buying another pack. That's it. And lo and behold, the 3rd of January 2020, just at the very start of the pandemic year, I smoked my last fag at 8:30 in the evening on a Saturday, and I haven't had one since. And it's now I'm recording this in early September 2022. So like I said, it's 974 days, 975 days tomorrow. Are there any key tips? Because I can probably share lots of things that worked for me, but that doesn't necessarily mean it worked for you. And so it's difficult for me to say you must do this. This is a guarantee, and so on. There's no guarantee. Let's put this absolutely straight out there. There simply is no guarantee. What I can tell you though is that once you have left that addiction, once it's behind you, once you're through the more difficult parts of that, life becomes different, and your life becomes free. Firstly, obviously, look, there's no point me sitting there and telling you about the health consequences of smoking. This is 2022. We all know smoking is bad for you. Anyone who doesn't just needs a slap. We all know the dangers of smoking. We all know smoking's expensive. We all know smoking's expensive. There's no point me sitting there saying, "Oh well, if you quit, you're going to save a load of money," because you know it. I will tell you now. In fact, I have got an app that tells me exactly how much I've saved. I have saved 9,745 quid in 974 days. Just on here, I don't know if that will show it or not. £9,745 and 37 pence. So I don't need to tell you you're going to save money because you know that, and there's an example. If you really didn't know how quickly you can save money or how much it really does add up to, that's a car, by the way. How's my life changed since I quit smoking, and how am I more free? Well, firstly, the money does make it, again, I know without going, you're going to save a lot of money. That extra money does provide you options. I've recently bought a BMW convertible. I can do that because the money I spend on fags pays for my car. It's that simple. But in terms of the freedom, moving away from the money aspect, in terms of the freedom, now let's put this to you for just a minute, because you don't realize until you've quit smoking just how much of a control, how much your life revolves around your smoking. Now, when I went on a cruise ship back in 2019, there were 2 areas on the cruise ship where you could smoke. One was in the casino. The casino was basically divided in half. Half was the smoking area, half was non-smoking area. So, and that was on deck 5. And I was staying on Symphony of the Seas. And despite having a balcony, you can't smoke on the balcony on cruise ships. You have to go to the designated smoking areas. So if I wanted a fag, I had to go from my room on the 6th deck downstairs into the 5th deck and into the smoking area of the casino and have a fag there. Or I could go all the way up to deck 16, which is basically the one before the top. It's on the pool. It's basically the pool deck, where they had an area there with some deck chairs, nice that laid out and so on and so forth. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed going up there in the evenings with a drink, and there would be the same sort of crowds every night. And I would go and I'd have a fag and I'd have a few drinks and we'd have a chinwag and so on and so forth. And it was sociable. It was enjoyable. What you don't realize though is how you determine or how you dictate your day around that smoking, those smoking areas. For example, the smoking area on Symphony of the Seas is right next to a restaurant called the Windjammer restaurant, which is basically the buffet. And so as a result, one of the things you don't realize you're doing is you plan your day around going to the restaurant so you can, around like having a cigarette. So for dinner, most nights, let's go to the Windjammer. And you've done it without noticing, perhaps it was subconscious, but it's right by the smoking area. Now, if you're going to one of the other many restaurants they've got on the boat on the ship, there, you've got to go all the way up and out the way and blah blah blah. Well, but that's good. Windjammer's convenient. Buffet, we like buffet foods. It's good buffet food, to be fair. And it's right by the smoking area. Job done easily. Another example. So you're basing your parts of your holiday based on your cigarettes. The other thing we did as well is on the way to America, we booked a lounge, an airport lounge. Now, the whole obviously point of an airport, once you get in through that security, there is no smoking till you're out on the other side. Bear in mind, we were on like a 9-hour flight to Florida, so there's no, once you've gone through that security, that is it for a 9-hour flight plus an hour and a half, 2 hours of waiting in the airport on this side, and then another hour, an hour and a half on the other side. You're basically looking at 11, 12 hours without a cigarette. Heaven forbid, So I trust me. I know some of you are sitting there now thinking, "Quite, that's a long time to go out." Yeah, it is, and you have to do it. There's no way. What you're going to do? Not go on holiday for the sake of a 12 hours without a fag? So what do? You go and put your luggage in, you check in, and then you make your way back to the smoking area outside the building, outside the terminal. And that's where you shall stay while you chain smoke yourself until as late as possible before you sort of dare not wait any longer to get through security. Because you need to get through security, you need to allow yourself some time at least, because you've got to get through security before you can get to the boarding areas of the plane and so on. So we booked this lounge, and we were probably in there for half an hour. Didn't get to enjoy the comfort of going in and helping yourself to food and drink and just relaxing for an hour and a half or so before your flight, because you're busy outside trying to make sure we've got our nicotine levels topped up. And you don't realize how much of these things that you are revolving your life around these cigarettes. Another example, at a theme park, designate smoking areas, and you are planning your day subconsciously. You don't realize, but you're planning your day around smoke. We'll go to here, blah blah blah, because there, and that's where the smoking area is. So if we could go there, that's right next to the smoking area, and we can go there. you don't realise you're doing it. Well, these are all things that when you're not smoking, these things become pretty apparent, pretty clear. Doesn't make us immune from the odd cough, though. Still getting over the resemblance of a cold. But as I said, you don't realise how much your life dictates around. Another thing to note as well, and again, this is what someone who's never smokes never understands. Now, I smoked about 20 a day. I started when I was about 12. I wasn't smoking 20 a day quite that young, but I would probably buy a pack of 10 a day when you could buy packs of 10. Though some of you probably know, you get your dinner money of your mum, of your dad, whatever it is, and I'll get my lunch with this. Excuse me. And you get your lunch, and you go into you buy a pack of fags with it, and you can make a little bit of money on it. You buy a pack of 10 for, I think, a pack of 10 Sovereign. I think it was back then. It was about £1.70, £1.80. Sell a couple of fags for 50 pence each at school. The 8 would normally last me for the day. In fact, I remember I used to have one on the way into school, one at break, one at lunch, one on the way home from school, and then 2 or 3 in the evening. So I always had a couple where I could sell, get £1, and there's your dinner. So you wouldn't go hungry, but you got your needs, and that was 5 days a week. So I started from a very young age, and then obviously as you get older and you turn 18, and then you start going to the pub. When I first started going to the pub at 18, smoking was still allowed in the pub for a couple of years or so. But then eventually you get into 20 a day and plus, sometimes more than that, sometimes 20 a night. When you're very young, when you're 18, 19, 20, and you're out on a lash, you're out with lads, you could easily go through a pack a night. Let's be honest, you could easily go through a pack a night. But one of the things that when you get older, one of the things you start to enjoy more about the smoking, and people who've never smoked will never understand this. The one thing that I used to really enjoy was the 5 minutes I had at the end of the day. You've had work, you've been to work, you get home, you've had a nice dinner, hopefully. You have a drink, and then I would have 5 minutes outside because we didn't smoke in the house. It's one thing we never do. We never smoked in the house. And you go outside and you have 5 minutes and you just relax. And you have that fag. And for 5 minutes, nothing else matters. Literally nothing else matters. You forget everything that's going on. You don't worry about any money issues you might have, or about what the kids are going to, how your kids are doing, and any of your day-to-day stress. It's gone for 5 minutes. And I try to say to people who've never smoked, who don't understand, and I say, you've got to consider it like this. Look at it like a perspective, like when you get in the bath, you want a nice hot bath, a nice bubble bath. You get in, you put your feet in first, you stand in, and then as you sit down, it comes up your legs and up your body, and then you just take a deep breath and you relax. And for 5 minutes, you relax. And that is what those 5 minutes were for me at the end of the day. Now, everyone is different. Everyone has different cigarettes throughout the day, which are more important than others. And I've always said, even now, I would say the same thing. If I could have a fag in the evening every day, it wouldn't hurt me. It wouldn't, it wouldn't be particularly expensive. Pack would basically last me, nearly 3 weeks. If you was having one day, 20 days. You'd probably buy a pack and a half in a month. In fact, if I was smoking roll-ups, I could probably make a pouch last for 2-3 months doing it that way. So why don't I? It's very simple. I can't. And if you are going to quit smoking, you've got to be honest with yourself on your limits, what you can and can't do. An alcoholic, if you are quitting drinking, you don't go, I'll just cut down to 1 in the evening. I'll have 1 can of it. No. You do that, it's game over. If you try to go down the route of cutting down to have that just 1 or 2 a day, I can guarantee you won't be able to do it. It won't work. And the reason why is very simple. There are some people who can do that, but those people who can do that have only ever done that. That is their habit. That is their smoking pattern. If you are smoking 2 or 3 a day and you've only ever smoked 2 or 3 a day, that is your habit. You are only used to having 2 or 3 a day. If you are like me and you're used to smoking 20 a day, you can't have 2 or 3 a day because your habit is 20 a day. It is that simple. I can't make it any more clear than that. So I know I cannot have 1 or 2 a day. I know if I went down that route of just having one in the evening, I will start making promises to myself that I wouldn't be able to keep. And we know what those promises are, don't we, people? We know it's a get up in the morning, cup of coffee. Oh, you know what? I'll have one now, but I just won't have one in the evening. You won't stick to that. You might once or twice, but in the end, you'll start becoming complacent. And then it's 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. Well, 2 a day is not going to do any harm. I'll just go to 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening. I don't need any more than that. And then it's 1 at lunchtime because you've had a stressful morning at work. And then it's 1 on your way home from work, 1 on your way to work. And before you know it, you're back to 10 a day, then 15 a day. Then you might as well never quit in the first place. So my advice would be to, if you're going to quit properly. Go down to nothing. Use patches, use spray, use the electronic, the vapes, whatever. But commit to not having any. That is my advice. This is the one bit of advice I can say. It's unanimous throughout. It's universal. It applies to everyone. Everyone quits differently, but that's one thing I would say applies to anyone and everyone who smokes, and particularly quite heavy, medium, whether you're moderate to a heavy smoker. If you're a light smoker, that's a different thing. Light smokers are light smokers because that's their habit. Their habit's light smokers or light smoking. The other thing to note, the nicotine withdrawal is not difficult. I'll be honest with that. People say it's not difficult. In fact, I found it not that difficult at all. The nicotine levels within a couple of weeks. I went for a little bit of a phase where I had a bit of I was coughing up a little bit of crap that comes to your lungs when but for mostly it wasn't particularly difficult. I didn't have a great deal of urges after 2 or 3 weeks. The difficulty is the habit, and this is again, people understand. Even I didn't understand the habit. People think just about because it's in your hands and blah blah blah. It's not that. One thing I learned is I thought I knew about the habit, but really I knew nothing about the habit. This is what I mean about habit. I was 32 when I quit smoking. I had been smoking since I was 32. Yeah, 32. I've been smoking since I was 12, 20 years. In 20 years, so my entire adult life at that stage, I had never not had a fag in the morning. In my entire adult life, I'd never gone to bed without not having a fag. Those are the sort of things that suddenly become more of didn't think about that. And where the habit really gets you is when you would normally have a cigarette and then you're confused as to what you're doing. An example, because I probably didn't explain that the best way. An example, one of the things I used to do was I'd have a shower, and as you know, showers, particularly in the cooler months, you have all the hot air steams out the windows and the mirrors and so on. And so if I was having a shower, I would then get out of the shower and before I'd done anything else, before I'd done my hair and all that sort of stuff, I needed the air to clear at the bathroom. I needed all the the steam and everything to clear, and the windows and the mirrors to get all the water come off them. So that would be a case of opening up the window, opening up the door, going downstairs, having a cup of tea, cup of coffee, whatever you drink, and a cigarette. When I quit smoking and I had my shower and I opened the window and opened the door and I'm ready to give that 10 minutes, there's no going for a cigarette. You literally think of, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Genuinely, that, ladies and gentlemen, is habit. If you want to know what habit is when it comes to smoking, it's not about something in your hands and so on all the time. That is your habit. It's your times of day where you've always done the same thing, and all of a sudden you're changing that. You're not doing that same thing anymore. And this is where this is where habit gets you. It's where those are the things that will take a little bit longer to change. Now I can't imagine, and this is as an ex-smoker now. I can tell you now, I don't remember what it's like to have a cigarette. I don't remember the taste. I don't remember the feel. I occasionally still have dreams while I'm having a cigarette, but I couldn't tell you now. I'm like, I don't know what it tastes like. I don't know. I can't remember. It does fade. It does fade. All of that fades in the end. And like anything, it's not an overnight process. It takes time. But the reward at the end is well and truly worth it. Well and truly worth it. Now, at 32, when I quit, despite smoking 20 years, I've given myself enough time for my body to make some major recoveries. In fact, some of the things that my app here can tell me exactly what I've happened. Here we go. After 20 minutes, your blood pressure and heart rate will decrease. After 8 hours, the carbon monoxide level returns to normal. After 24 hours, your chance of heart attack decrease. After 48 hours, your ability to taste and smell starts to return. And by the way, that smell, you can smell smoke a mile off. I can tell you that much, which I couldn't before because you know. After 72 hours, your airways start to relax. After 5 to 8 days, the average number of cravings is reduced to 3 per day. Like I said, the cravings go quickly. You'd be surprised how quickly the nicotine cravings go. This is where this is where you get some sort of pretty quick results in terms of things that with your body sort of repairing itself. This is where things become a bit more interesting though. After 10 to 14 days, blood circulation in the gums and teeth returns to normal. Cravings are reduced to 2 a day on average. That's just after 2 weeks. After 2 to 12 weeks, your circulation improves and your lung functions increase. After 3 to 4 weeks, the anger, anxiety, resentlessness, and depression have ended. After 2 months, your insulin resistance has normalized despite the average weight gain, which you are going to get weight gain, I'll be honest, I did. After 1 to 9 months, coughing and shortness of breath decrease. After 1 to 5 years, your risk of dying from heart disease is about half of that of smokers. After 10 years, your risk of lung cancer falls to about half of a smoker's. My body at my age will recover. I think if you're under the age of 50, there's a good chance that your body will make a pretty good recovery. It's never too late to quit, though. And the freedom you get once you quit, I can tell you now, is absolutely worth it. Again, this isn't a video to just patronize and gloat and so on. This is trying to speak from the mind of a smoker, an ex-smoker, and someone who, look, and I'll be honest, if I could quit smoking, I can tell you now most people could, because I tried several times previously with first with patches, then with a nasal spray and so on. Then I tried when the electronic cigarettes first came out. The only thing that worked for me was cold turkey. And I think that's because if you go, for me, and again, everyone's different, but for me, the The other things, the patches, the spray, the electronic fags, etc., they don't take away the cravings and they don't take away the habit. And it's the cravings will go. Like I said, they go quickly. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, really quickly. But your habit takes a bit of work. Anyway, I hope people are able to learn something from this video and take something away. And hopefully this will make you think about things, just to give it a go. What have you got to lose? That's what I say. What have you got to lose? Take care, and I hope to see you all on another video, perhaps in the near future. But until then, take care.